Well, the clouds form the horizon, right?
The clouds meeting the sky forms the horizon. Yeah.
How is that any different than what I said?
Sure.
So is it indicative of the shape of the formation of the cloud or the shape of the Earth? I mean, it's
I
a
don't.
very
I'm just.
small field of view.
I've never been in an airplane, so that's why I'm
Like
asking.
he said, we don't know if it's a fisheye lens. We don't know what kind of apertures you got, what kind of lenses you're using, what's your focal length. We don't know any of that. And there are effects in the camera that can make your images seem curved, like barrel distortion.
Okay.
So it'd be ludicrous to just ignore those, right? Say they're not a possibility for the curvature you see when you see such a small portion of area, whether it be water or land, but mostly the image here is water and clouds.
But like I said, if you take it back, I mean, even if you want to think that this is showing the curve, okay, fine. So come onto the ground, surface level, where we all are, and let's test it through line of sight. Yeah? Because line of sight could be getting obstructed at a predictable distance due to that curvature that you think you're seeing from a plane, right?
I've never been on a plane, so I can't say. I'm just wondering what you thought.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. If what you're being shown is actually the curve, then that would be impacting the amount of distance you can see over the surface when you're standing on the beach or something, yeah?
Perhaps so.
Yeah, so this has been tested and it's been found that that obstruction due to curvature doesn't exist. We see beyond that. So whatever that is you're seeing in those images, it's not curvature of a ball Earth because that can be
So it's
tested.
just like camera distortion or something like that, I guess.
Potentially, I mean, I don't know the source of these images or who put them together
Yeah.
or what they might have
It's
done with
just
them, but
yeah.
yeah, it's not physical Earth curve. Definitely not.
But Cyclone, Psy,
Yeah.
and how the skies is made? Just like a dome? I don't know. What
I couldn't
is
tell you.
sky in the flat Earth?
Well, the sky is the sky. It's what we see above our heads. It's got the clouds, sun, the moon, the stars. What it is, I don't know. Only on the Grass Tyson quote there. Yeah, like I mean, it depends. Like try and ask that more specifically.
But do you
What
think
do you mean?
it's possible to fly outside of the Earth?
No. It's a contained environment. It's a closed system. You ever heard of a terrarium?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a terrarium is? Yeah.
Yes.
It's like the closed container that you put soil, earth in, and seeds, and you plant plants.
Well, how would you fly in space anyway? There's no air resistance.
So in this sealed container, you get your own little gas and water cycle, and the plants will grow, even though it's a closed system. That's effectively what we're in. A much bigger version, I would say. So no, it's a closed system. You can't leave Earth, and the sky is a part of that system.
Yeah, but for me it's difficult because I see a lot of conflict in the theories and the videos because I see a video with SpaceX rocket and the guy is saying the rocket crash in the sky like in the dome and explode.
Well, I would say any images or videos, movies that you're being shown of rockets, be very skeptical of, because they're trying very hard to make you believe that they can go beyond the sky into this vacuum of space. But they can't, because it's a closed system, which we know because we have gas pressure here on Earth that we breathe, air, pressurized gas. Gas can only be pressurized if it's pressing on a container, if it's contained. So if we didn't have a container, if we weren't a closed system, all the air would rush out into space and we'd all be dead.
Okay.
You understand that? Gas pressure needs a
Mhm.
container, like air in a bike tire or a balloon. You pop the balloon, all the air goes away.
Yeah, but for me, it's like when I told you the conflict of the information. Like you say for me this, and when I see a video, the other guy say other thing.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I mean, it's listen.
It's very conflicted.
What? Yeah. What I'm telling you, I'm not just saying this is what you should think. I mean, this is what I have found to be the case, having looked into it. But you need to look into it. You need to research this. You need to figure out what is going on and where you are. Right? We can't do that for you. We can point you in direction to look at, to research things like gas pressure, curvature, motion of the Earth. But you have to go and research that. Come to your own conclusion. Yeah.
Mhm.
You should
Yeah, but-
join. You should hold on just quickly for more information. If you're not already on it, you should join 24/7 Flat Earth Discord, which someone can send you the link to. Just discord.gg/Flat Earth. Loads of resources, videos, PDFs for you to look at and research in your own time. I would recommend you do that.
Yeah. Well, I like this. But in the past, I saw a lot of videos of the flat earth, like I don't know how to say this in English. It's like in the Arctic have like a hole, and in the earth, in the inside of the earth have aliens. I don't know if you.
Yeah, it sounds like some wild speculation to me. Yeah, we're not saying
It's
any of that. We're just saying
Operation
there's no
High
curvature.
Jump.
Yeah. I mean, there's these military operations decades ago, and people claim that they know what went on, but they don't. They're just relying on the reports that have been released. If that, I mean, no real reports were released saying they went into the Earth and found aliens and all this kind of stuff. No. So be skeptical. Be very skeptical. Anything you hear or you're told, ask yourself, what evidence do I have to believe this?
Yeah, but the in the system of the flat Earth, the Arctic is in the middle, correct?
That's a way that some people conceptualize it, yeah. The Arctic, the north, would be the center. East and west would be circles around it. And south would be any direction away from center, north. That's azimuthal equidistant kind of projections that you're talking about. But there isn't one agreed model or map, because we can't get a view above the Earth where we can see the whole thing, right? We can't see it all at once. So concepts are suggested and proposed as best they can, but no one's out there mapping the oceans or all the continents together. You can't really do that.
Yeah, but do you have a picture of this system do you believe?
Well, I just said we can't get high enough and see the whole thing to then take a photo of it.
Mm.
But every photo that's taken on the Earth, of the Earth, is of the flat Earth, as they'd call it. Right? It's obviously topographical. It's got hills and valleys, but it's not curving into a ball. It's just a level plane.
Mm. I understand.
Yeah, just like you experience motionless too. You don't experience any motion unless you're in an earthquake or something like that. But they tell you you're spinning at thousands of miles an hour and moving at hundreds of thousands of miles an hour.
Yeah, for me this is very strange. Of the when you put the ball and the ball with the water, and you turn like in 2,000 miles per hour, and the water don't fix in the ball.
Yeah, water doesn't stick to a spinning ball in reality, but that's why they had to come up with the gravity story to make you think you could be stuck to the side and bottom of a spinning ball.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a story. You're just
Yeah,
on
but
a level motionless plane.
but the well, look, when I'm converted in the flat Earth, I
We're not here
it's
converting anybody. We're just offering information to those who are interested. What you decide to
yeah,
do or think is up to you.
I know, but for me, it's possible to be atheist, or I will uh, I will believe in God for flat Earth. Is like a
Well,
religious or not flat Earth?
well, that's a big question. I wouldn't say it's directly tied to religion in the sense that we would say you can know it because it says so in this book. But the fact that it is a motionless topographical plane indicates very strongly, if not conclusively, that it must have got here by intelligent design and not a big bang. So, whatever you want to think about that intelligent designer would be up to you, but I don't see any other way that a motionless topographical contained system can come about but by intelligent design.
Mm.
So, yeah, it might make you look into some scriptures, see what the ancients were saying and thinking.
Yeah, but for you, uh, when you look at the flat Earth, for you, do you believe is the 50% correct or 100%? 100% correct.
Correct
When
in what
you
sense?
about the Earth is flat. For you is like 100% or 50%, 12
Right.
for you.
So when we need to be specific about what we say by flat. Like I said, it's not smooth. It's a topographical plane, but yeah, the water is 100% level. That's the natural physics of it. So the surface overall, physically, yeah, has to be a level plane. That's what natural reality is telling us in every instance, whether it's our direct observation or our understanding of the nature of water, how it behaves. But to me, I mean, that's 100% because that's all we can know. I mean, if I'm wrong about that, it's through no fault of my own because that's all that reality is telling us.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm going with reality, and if somehow that was incorrect, then I'm still happy that I went with reality. What else would I go with? Stories? TV? No, I'll stick to reality until proven otherwise. I go with what reality goes.
Yeah, but are you from USA? You live in
No,
America? No?
no.
Oh, it's because do you think that NASA is a liar?
Well, it's not one person, but the images and stories they're telling us are untrue. Yes, the US military, shock horror, is lying. That's not to say that everyone who works for them is lying or participating knowingly in a lie. A lot of people are just doing their job, right? They make a bit, they're told it's going to this place, but they don't know that. It's just what they're told. Anyway, who have we got from the flat earth side still here? Because I'm going to have to drop off. So who wants to pick this up?
I do. I want one. Hey, good to see you, bro.
Larry, good man. Good to see you, bro. Well, whoever I was talking to there, sorry, I didn't catch your name. What was your name?
Me?
Yeah, Horizon. Okay, I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Larry, and Larry will answer your questions. Is that okay?
Okay.
I'm going to send you that link to the server as well, so you can join it and have a look.
Yeah, I put the link in already. It's in the side chat. So
All right, sweet.
earlier you brought up God. I usually don't bring up God, but since you brought it up, there's basically two views, right? That there was a godless Big Bang or there was a creator. So, in my opinion, it works like this: either God created the heavens and the earth, or he didn't. Some people call this the ontological primitive, but instead of using big words, it's just A or B, right? Either God created A or B, he didn't. And I like to think about how much faith that it requires to believe in a godless Big Bang, because that means that you believe in spontaneous generation. If you don't believe in any kind of God whatsoever, then you have to believe that all the organisms on Earth sprang up out of the rocks, out of the elements, and out of the waters. Is that what you believe? Spontaneous generation?
This for me?
Yeah, you believe in spontaneous generation.
Uh, man, if I told you I agree 100%, I'm not honest with you. But I think it's the 50%.
Okay, that's a good position to take, right? Because you don't know, you weren't there. So being open-minded is definitely a good quality, right?
I think yes.
Yeah, I think it's a good quality. Because you're not claiming there is no God, you're claiming that you don't know, which is reasonable. So I don't really think there are any atheists. I think there are people that are just, angry with God, so they say he doesn't exist, right? So the way I understand it is that if there's a creator, it would be pretty obvious that this place would be created. So when you actually study science, you can kind of see that this place is created. When you look at the real science, not the theoretical stuff, but like the applied sciences, like human anatomy, for example, you have a level of complexity in the human body that you can't really explain with a godless creation myth, right? So you have in your blood, you have T cells that help you fight off diseases and infections, and you have helper T cells, right? So the scientific words for this is sorry, give me just a second. functional sequence specified complexity. Specified complexity with a functional sequence. So what we're seeing is that there's a famous quote, and it says that the first sip of the cup of science will make you an atheist, but God is waiting at you at the bottom of the glass. So that's what we're kind of seeing. Those of us who've been studying science for a really long time, it requires more faith to believe there is no God than to believe that there is a God. Now, that doesn't mean that we're claiming one God or the other, right? That just means that we believe in some sort of creator. So you brought that up, not me, by the way, right? You brought up.
Yeah, but I have more questions to answers. Because like how people say about God is the God of Bible, correct? But for other persons, have other gods. Like in the Freemason, have like Allah and gods like Adonai, Jesus. Yeah.
Well, as far as I know, there's only one book that says to test all things and keep that which is good. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in such things, read all the different scriptures from the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, Old and New Testament. You could look at the Quran, right, and decide which one makes more sense. So for me, if I look at, let's say, for example, Galatians 5, that makes a lot of sense to me. It basically says there's no law that says that you have to be a prick. Do you understand what that means?
Prick?
An asshole, a mean person. Right, Galatians 5 is the fruits of the Spirit. Are you familiar with that? The fruits of the Spirit, Galatians 5. You can look it up. Anyway, my point is that makes a lot of sense to me, and that resonates as truth to me, because if you look at natural law, it basically says you don't violate someone else's rights, and you have to show self-control. That's basically what Galatians 5 says to me. It's all about self-control, governing yourself rather than governing someone else. So back to the whole Earth thing. The Earth, a lot of ways, is a mystery. There's a lot of things that we can't know about the Earth, but if people are making claims about the Earth, you could either verify them or you can't. So you said you've never been in an airplane, correct?
Yeah, I never travel in airplane.
Right, so I have. I've been in a few airplanes. But from my experience, there's no curvature. Not on an airplane. And mathematically, you would be too close to the ground to be able to see it. So Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about the Red Bull jump with Felix Baumgartner. Are you familiar with the Red Bull jump? So
yeah, but
people were saying, go ahead.
When you say this, it's for me it's like a speculation, because it's your word counter. I have like the most newest technology in the NASA, and I have your word like, oh, I don't see the curvature, and I open my Google and I search and I see many articles with proving the curvature, like, and I don't say you are don't telling the truth. I think for you don't see the curvature, but it's the word of the people versus like technology. For me, the technology is more correct.
Okay, so you're looking on Google. We're asking you to look outside. So there was a whistleblower, right? I'm posting the article right now, and this whistleblower talked about the Google blacklist. Have you heard of the Google blacklist?
No, but
Okay,
I
well,
think
I
I know.
posted it. I posted it.
Mm.
So what the Google blacklist says is there's things that for when you search for on Google, you're not going to find it. They've taken it off. You ever seen V for Vendetta, the movie?
What's the movie?
V for Vendetta?
Yeah, I know.
In the movie, they played that song during the attack, and he said, "I want that song put on the blacklist, and I never want to hear that song again." So that's what Google is doing. Google has a blacklist, and there's certain things that are on the blacklist. When you search for them, you cannot find them. So every time you go to Google or YouTube, you're looking at censored only material. Does that make sense?
Yeah, in this I agree with you because when I search like theories, conspiracy theories like the flat Earth in English, I don't see any videos. When I search in my main language, I see a lot of videos, but in the English don't exist videos like flat Earth. It's so strange. When you go to the Rumble or other stream platforms, you'll see, but YouTube no. In this, I agree with you.
Well, I'm glad because I never heard it said like that before. So I appreciate that. It's really interesting to me that if there was nothing to this flat Earth thing, it would not need the censorship. But you said that you can Google things, right? You can Google the mass of Jupiter, the mass of the sun, and they're going to give you an answer as if they know it to be true.
Yeah.
Now, that's not firsthand primary knowledge, is it?
No. And also, what about planets that are around that might be around suns in the distance? The only reason they know that is because some kind of light. It's only based on light because there's nothing else you got to work off. So, yeah, we're looking at the redshift and the light, and we reckon there's Mercury on that planet. Really? It's not the same. Hi guys. How you
You make me remember about this. It's because, man, I don't know if you live in your America, but in your country, if you live in America, the censorship is so strong, man. I live outside of America, and when I search like flat Earth and other conspiracy theories, I see the videos, but in the English, I don't see. It's so strange, man. So strange.
Really? In English?
Yes.
I'm actually from England, not America. So you know where the language came from. God damn it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Monkey. So just Larry was having a conversation with Horizon there, so I want that to continue for a bit. We'll get to you after. If that's okay.
Oh, for me it's okay.
No worries.
Yeah, we got to go one at a time though, or things get crowded. Okay, so yeah, I'm from Texas. I'm from the continent of America, but I do not like to claim Washington D.C. They've been naughty. They've been bad public servants.
Yeah, I don't like
so
London.
I'm a Texan. Yeah, I don't like London. Yeah, exactly.
Fuck those London. Yeah, I agree.
Well, the city of London, not London the city, right?
Yeah, no, well, you know, just the people in control of it. No, actually, they're
Right,
all right.
the financial district, fuck them, right?
The people are fine. Yeah.
Anyway, let me talk to Horizon, and we'll talk to you next. I'm sure we're gonna have a great conversation.
Sorry.
It's all good. But yeah, the censorship is bad here in America. It's really, really bad, and it's unfortunate because the West has been successful because of free ideas, free trade, and the idea of freedom. Because when a country is free to explore, then science can flourish. I got a really good quote on that. I'll see if I can find it. But it's really important that science has to be free, and in order for science to be free, we have to be free to ask the hard questions. So there's
Yeah.
this famous quote. It goes something along the lines of, I would rather have no answers to question than have questions that can't, or wait, I'd rather have questions that can't be answered than have answers that can't be questioned.
Yes.
That's a famous quote.
That's a good
And I kind of think that's where we're at in society right now. There's certain things that we're not allowed to say, not allowed to do, not allowed to think. And I heard recently in Scotland they passed a law that if you get caught saying something and it offends the audience, you can go to prison.
That was a long time ago. There was some kind of somebody taught his dog. There was a Scottish guy who taught his dog to do. He had a pug dog.
Yeah, we know.
What's funny?
We know.
Do a Nazi salute and got.
Yeah, don't say it on the stream. Don't say certain words, because the thing is that this censorship is so real that our stream will get flagged by saying certain words like the man with the funny mustache or kamikaze, you know what I mean?
Funny mustache.
Yeah, the freedom of speech is limited on certain platforms, and we are on YouTube, so I would ask you to refrain from that. But
Oh,
if there was nothing to this whole flat Earth thing, there would be no need to censor it, right? Like if people are talking about the Tooth Fairy or Santa Claus or I don't know, Bigfoot, right? I don't think those people are getting censored, because if I search Bigfoot, I can pull up all kinds of Bigfoot videos and people giving their firsthand account when they were in the wilderness and they met Bigfoot. That's not censored, right? Because it's not a threat to them. But the reason why this is a threat is because if you realize that there's a creator, then there's a higher power than the state. And if you question their authority, that's bad for them. They want you to bow down to their perceived authority because the state is the god. They got the high ground. They put men on the moon. That's a military superiority thing. And they want you to believe they have the high ground and you need to bow down to them.
but Larry, for you, do you think exists only one truth, or the truth is relative?
Well, there's only one truth, right? For example, the sky is blue sometimes, right? I don't think anybody can disagree with that unless they're colorblind. If they're colorblind, okay, that's a fair argument, but that's not the normal, right? That's the anomaly. So there's only one truth, and truth is that which is verifiable, according to Karl Popper. And I would definitely encourage you to do some research on Karl Popper, the problem with inductive reasoning. And you can see that if you can't falsify it, according to Karl Popper, a famous philosopher of science, he said then it's not science. So if you can't debunk it, like if I said the reason things fall to the ground is because of fairy dust, right? You can't debunk that, therefore it's not science, it's just imagination. Does that make sense?
But for you, like theories like Big Bang or I don't know, the quantum theory is false for you because it's theory, not real.
It's not a scientific theory. The Big Bang is not a scientific theory because in the scientific method you have to observe a natural phenomenon. So who observed the Big Bang? Nobody. It's a creation myth. It's a creation myth like any other creation myth because none of us were there. So it's not a theory. That's an ambiguous word, theory. Because do you know the difference between a theory and a scientific theory? Do you know the difference, Horizon? Yeah, one of them has been validated with systematic experimentation by controlling variables and manipulating the independent variable to show cause and effect. So that's a scientific theory. The Big Bang is not a theory. It's a postulation, or like a untestable hypothesis, right? You can't test it, right? So they say the evidence for the Big Bang is the cosmic background radiation. They say it's the oldest known light in the universe. Well, I would have to ask, what's the dating method for light? Because I know about radiocarbon dating. What's the dating method for light? I'll be right back.
Yeah. Anyone here?
Yeah, Larry's just said he'll be right back. So
Besides, this channel is streaming on YouTube. It's in live?
Yes. Yeah, it's live streaming right now. Yes.
What's the channel?
Who is it under now? Is it under a Helioskeptic? I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to be a minute longer.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Feel free to pick up where I left off.
What?
The dating for light would be how, if you can find out how fast it travels and how far away it came from.
Well, that's based off the assumption of a light year is the distance and the time away from you. If we can detect it here on Earth, then how do we know where it came from?
If you see light, you see the stars, you figure the light came from the star, right?
Right, but the cosmic background radiation didn't come from the star. It's said to have come from the Big Bang Theory. So how do I falsify that?
Do you know the Big Bang Theory is made by Pope?
Yeah, a Catholic priest. Lamont?
Yeah, it's priest, not Pope.
Yeah. George Lamont.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's in my opinion, it's taking God out of the equation and making the Pope the king on earth, because in ancient Egypt they had priest kings, right? Because the king is the financial power on earth, and the priest is God's power on earth. So man's power and God's power residing in one person. They've been doing this since the beginning. They wanted a one world government, and they wanted an emperor, and they wanted priest kings. And so they want everybody to bow down to man. I mean, if you can't see that right now, do a little bit of research on world banks and Federal Reserve systems and, you know, that sort of thing. I mean, it won't take you long to figure out that before 9/11, there was only a handful of countries that didn't have an IMF type World Bank. North Korea, Iran, Syria, Libya, Cuba, Venezuela, Iraq, Afghanistan. And what's happened to most of these countries since 9/11, 2001? They've had banks installed. Almost all of them. Except for a few holdouts. I gotta go. I'll be back.
Okay.
Well, the guy before Larry said they have to convince you that you wouldn't fall off a globe. Why would you fall off a globe, even if it was a globe?
Are you speaking? You seem so low I can't hear you, barely hear you.
Your voice is low.
What globe? Are we talking about like the furniture? Or are we talking like that toy that you put on your desk? What globe?
We're not talking about a globe. Because there isn't one.
I mean, that's the point, right? Like, people just kind of say the word globe, and there's all kinds of assumptions built in it. Like that's the thing you're standing on, and that's not my experience.
Totally.
Hey, says who? I'd like to point out I posted a picture, and they called that was the Eagle Nebula, and I just asked AI to draw me a picture of the universe, and it did, and I posted it, and see how easy it is to fool people.
Wow, that's AI, huh?
Wow.
It really helps with the kind of the delusion, right? Like you see some pretty picture, and you're like, yes, that's what space is. So beautiful.
Shakespeare said the world's a stage, and what do they do on stage? They pretend, right? Pretend.
To act. Yeah,
do.
pretend.
And then do you know what they called his stage? Globe.
They call this stage a globe.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they called his theater. Yeah,
True.
what's the name of his
There's a bunch
theater?
of theaters that are called the Globe. There's one here in my park, local park.
Are you for real? I'm going to look that up. The Shakespeare's Theater is called the Globe, huh?
Yeah. You'll start seeing like thousands of freaking Globe theaters too. Like there's a bunch of them. There's like a
Wow.
theater in every city.
That's
The world is a
crazy.
stage. The stage is the globe.
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious. Man, they've been trolling forever.
But to think about it, that's right around the same age as all of this other stuff, you know, like the maps and the discovery, supposed so-called discovery, the conquest, whatever you want to call it. Happening at the same time that Shakespeare was whatever, whoever that was.
The world is a stage, and in its actors and personas. And then you have, people like Scott Mackey, actors, clowns on the stage.
Actors and clowns on the stage. That's what you have.
Matthew Learns, Scott, Jekyll. You got the clowns on the stage playing the personas.
Yep.
It's very interesting.
And the internet is a great place to, have a persona as well, especially if nobody really knows you. You can make an avatar and a name, and you can be a character, and no one would be any the wiser because they'll never meet you.
I've met flat earthers. I've met 5 flat earthers in person that were from the server 24/7. Not all of them are there anymore, but not much.
You met Matthew too, right? You guys?
Yeah, I met Matthew. I've seen Matthew a couple times. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty fun having like 60 or 70 freaking flat earthers at the same party, though. That's pretty amazing. And just a couple of globers, like people would, I guess some of the people would drag people in from the street or whatever, or tell them they're coming, bring them along. whatever happened, hijacked them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shanghai.
You're gonna look at this whether you like it or not. And one of the most beautiful places right on the beach with Catalina right out in front of you, the city of Long Beach to the right, and Los Angeles off to the further right. Just freaking amazing. What a view.
Mark Taylor, you want to jump in the VC and talk about some of these images or space? Maybe not.
So I'm back. I'm not necessarily taking over the mic, but I'm back.
They get scared to talk, says who?
I know. Top Cat, how about you? I mean, your mic was a little low, but I could hear you.
Am I doing okay now?
That sounds good to me, anyway.
Yep.
The guy before Larry said that they have to tell us that gravity exists so that we will believe that we wouldn't fall off a sphere. I was wondering if it was a sphere, why would we fall off?
Well, if you're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, going around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour, and going around the galaxy, I can't even remember, like, what is it, 250,000 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Like, you ever rode on the, what is it, the carnival ride that's got like an egg, and it's like spinning the egg around, and it's on a merry-go-round? So if there's like a fat guy and a little kid, the little kid's getting squashed.
The tilter wheel.
Tilter wheel, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know he was talking about centrifugal force. I thought maybe he was saying there was some force pulling some direction.
Yeah, if you're spinning, if you're on a ball spinning, you're just going to fly off. Well, I mean, why would you stick to it?
Yeah, I didn't know he meant centrifugal force. I thought he was talking about something else. I agree with that. If there was no gravity, it would, fling us off.
There you go. So gravity was invented so you don't fly off into space. So he was right.
So the thing is, they say the oceans are held down by gravity. Well, that's not science, because you can't manipulate gravity and see if the oceans rise and fall, right? So that's pseudoscience, because it's not falsifiable. But I can make the claim, and this is a scientific claim, that high gas pressure and low temperature holds the oceans down. And you might go, wait a minute, how do you prove that? Well, I can put some seawater in a vacuum container, suck out all the air, and the water's going to start boiling. And if I leave it on long enough, then it's going to remove the water from the vacuum. Or I could just put the ocean water in a teapot and boil it, and high enough heat and low enough gas pressure, it's going to fuck off, right? So I've experimentally proven that low gas pressure and high temperature is what holds the oceans down. Can anybody demonstrate that not to be true?
You said low pressure?
Hey, I just
low
wanted
gas
to say
pressure.
that, Larry, I've done that live in here, and people just cried about it. The Globers. I left it on. I had my vacuum chamber. I was posting the pictures, showing the vacuum level, all that, showing the pressure. The vacuum chamber, all of a sudden, in 45 minutes, was as dry as a bone after I had water in it.
Are you the one that I got that argument from? I've been using that one a lot. I haven't been giving you credit because I don't know your name.
Yes, Radwin.
That is a rad argument, bro.
Well, it's not gravity.
Well, I mean, maybe it is, but it's not falsifiable that it's gravity, right?
Correct.
So it's not a scientific claim. Like your claim is scientific. It's demonstrable. It's empirical. It's falsifiable. It's repeatable. It's testable. All the marks are checked.
I did it 3 times in here now, and I'm going to do it again. Don't worry, you guys. I'll do it again just for everybody to say, it goes, nah, and they'll have to say, oh.
Well, if you
Damn it, I
accept,
came up with an idea for you to do with a vacuum chamber the other day, and I thought, I wonder if Radwin's interested in trying that out. Now I can't remember what it was.
but if you accept that they've been on the moon, then we have 2 data points to show gravity.
Nope, I don't accept it. But that's just me.
I think I might be able to give you a good reason to.
No, because you can't tell me how air surrounds a ball in a vacuum when I just said I can pull all the air out and water flies away.
Yeah, the water will turn into vapor.
Uh-huh. But yet I can go out in my pool and it's still there. Vacuum of space didn't suck it away.
Well, there's pressure down at the ground. As if you go up on top of a mountain, you get a lot less pressure, and stuff will boil quicker.
So where is it? What's creating that pressure?
I believe there's a force that pulls everything towards the center of the sphere, they say.
Oh, I don't know. I've never heard of such a thing. What is it called?
I've heard people call it gravity.
Wait a minute. Einsteinian gravity is not a force by definition. It's a pseudo force, right? Which we know what a pseudo means, right? Like a pseudo intellectual is like a person who thinks that he's smart because he uses big words, but he really can't understand the conversation and the meaning of those words, right? So like a pseudo mechanic is a guy who takes your car and said, I got a theory, I think it's a starter. That'll be $500 if you want your keys, and then he takes your $500 and the damn thing won't start. That's a pseudo mechanic, right? And now you have to take him to court. So gravity is a pseudo force, which if you understand a grammatical qualifier, it's not a force if you have to put a word in front of it to describe it. Does anybody here not understand what a grammatical qualifier is?
Yeah, but I also got to remember that you got to qualify for what it means in the cosmology, right? So on paper, gravity means this and is causing this in the cosmology, right? But that doesn't extend to the realist level. So that's why they have to label it pseudo, because it's explaining something that is happening on the model, on the depiction, on the math, or the pseudo math. It's happening there in the simulation, not in reality.
Yeah, so if you understand what a grammatical qualifier is, then you understand that a pseudo force is not a force. It's kind of like saying kangaroo court. For example, I'm a Texan, right? I live in the Bible Belt or whatever. So if a Muslim were to summons me to a Sharia court, let's say hypothetically, and I would go in there and say, by what right, by whose authority have you brought me in here? Where does your authority derive from? Because I am not a Muslim, right? That's a pseudo court. Now, if I'm a Muslim and I want a divorce, yeah, I have to go to the Muslim court. But for me, I never agreed to such a contract, so I can't be dragged in there legally and lawfully. Because for me, it's a pseudo court or a kangaroo court. So now that we understand that gravity is a pseudo force, how is it holding anything down if it's a pseudo force?
That's the standard answer. Silence.
So
Well, I mean, Neil
I just
deGrasse
looked it up.
Tyson. Go ahead.
I just looked it up. Grammatical qualifier meaning. Updated on July 7th, 2019. In English grammar, a qualifier is a word or phrase, such as very, that precedes an adjective or adverb, increasing or decreasing the quality signified by the word it modifies.
Right. So if the word force is modified, then it no longer has the same definition. Just like if I buy a standard Smith & Wesson Sport 2 and I change the barrel and modify the optics and all that stuff, it's not the same thing anymore, is it?
It's a I am Larry special.
Right, because I have a philosophy of use and I might want to put a red dot on there and maybe a foregrip, maybe a little bit shorter of a barrel, but not too short because I don't want the federal government criminalizing me and victimizing me.
Well, the gravity force in the globe is like the force in Star Wars.
Right, you have to be in Star Wars to believe it. Like you have to be on planet Alderaan.
Yeah, like the guy said, if you accept that they went to La La Land and, made the moon landings, if you accept that, therefore, the rest of the fantasy has to be true.
So, going on in the old flat Earth these days. Still flat, I assume. Maybe this thing's not working.
No, it's just a stupid question.
So if
Well, do you have any evidence to the contrary?
Yeah, let's not call flat Earth people stupid
No one did.
when they're.
Only
okay,
an
good.
imbecile would.
I was gonna say when they're
Yeah,
listening.
it's don't hate the game, hate the player, not the game, or whatever you want to do. But yeah,
All
it's if you have a problem with
My,
astuteness, if you have a problem with astuteness, Rubik's Cube, you might have a problem with flat earthers.
I love that you're calling me Rubik's Cube.
Because as you've seen, as long as we take the story for granted, gravity, moon golf, then yeah, Earth's a ball. But yeah, if you want to deal in reality, Rubik's.
Giggler, you can call me
where
Giggler.
it's at.
It's fine.
No, Rubik's Cube looks better.
Top Cat, I've seen you
if
other
we're-
places before there, Top Cat. Good to see you.
If we're
I've
talking
heard you
about
give before.
Old Hoss, I just want you to know that you mentioned what the other guy mentioned. If you went to the moon, then you have to believe in gravity.
That's right. That's why it must be taken for granted, this whole pseudo thing, because if it weren't pseudo, we'd have some demonstrations, some examples, something that adds up, not just gigglers.
At least he didn't call me Rubik's Cube. So here's my joke.
Mixed up
I still
cubes.
appreciate that.
He's a giggling mixed up cube. Here it comes, folks.
Yeah. So my son was going to be a flat earther, but being that he's in the 4th grade now, we figure he's overeducated.
Okay,
Yeah, comedy's a very hard business, bro.
Yeah, I bet you guys take a lot of shit. got to be fucking miserable.
Yeah,
It
It's a lot
it
of
feels
we
like
don't take any
being an
shit.
atheist in a
Hold
Catholic
on, hold on.
church.
We
Right?
don't take any shit. If somebody comes sideways at me, watch and see what happens. Because I'm all
Yeah, we
nice. If you're
No,
cordial, I'm super
listen,
nice.
listen. Your son turning retarded wasn't the education. Was
Nobody
the
said he
shots maybe?
Yeah, there was
had
other
the
factors
pills.
that made your son retarded, dude.
Genetics,
Yeah,
right?
but he didn't
So,
say that he's
so who
35.
can dish it out now?
He
No, you're
forgot to
good.
say that he was like 35 years old.
We can talk
There
about
was
your
a
son
there
all
was a
day long.
The son is the seed of the father. So yeah, if he's stupid, maybe the father is.
I wish, man. My son won't do shit. I fucking tell him. Like you guys do this.
Well, it sounds like you need to get off here and maybe go read a parenting book or something. No one gives a shit. They just complain a lot of belly aching, tears. But what ifs? Won't you guys imagine with me? That's not. I mean, that's like saying that the little midgets in Wizard of Oz gave Dorothy shit. They were just squealing about the wizard.
I haven't been in the flat earth circles for a while. Last time I was here, which was a while ago, there was this dude, Flatman, who kind of made his own server. Him and I kind of had a falling out a little bit. But anybody aware of like how he's doing? If things are good with him?
Well, if he got away from you, he's probably doing well.
I would, yeah, no doubt.
He's probably no longer a mixed up colored cube.
Maybe put on your stalking
Children will
skills and
say
go find
someday.
him. It seems like you're interested in him, so you should stalk him. We have lots of stalkers.
I mean,
Believe me, I know.
He wasn't an entirely unattractive. There was another guy who popped into PNR. He was like Scottish. I'm not super good with accents, but
Are you more concerned with the personalities and not the supposed water ball itself?
No,
Is that what's going on?
He's more concerned to how they look and if they're good looking or not, according to what I just heard.
No, I'm a heterosexual. My mom had me tested.
Your mom took you to the titty bar until you got an erection?
I mean, she's my mom now.
Is that what you're teaching your son? Looking at guys and kind of qualify them? They good looking, bad looking. Ooh, look at that guy, son. Son, look at that guy. That's a good looking guy, isn't it? Isn't it?
Not that kind of qualifier.
No, I totally want my. I got 3 boys. I totally want them all to be into women. Well, I won't tell you why.
Because it's normal.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
No, because we have a pool, and if we marry women, there'll be bikini girls in my pool.
Get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Yeah,
Seize him.
A true imbecile. These are the academic giants that are wrapped up in the water ball ideology. It's amazing.
Yep, and that's the best and the brightest. It's hilarious.
That was super weird.
It's not funny, but it's laughable.
Anybody who's up next? Hey, Top Cat, Top Golf, Top Moon Golfer.
Yo.
Do you believe that the people who are played golf on the moon?
I don't think there's any golf courses on the moon.
Old Hoss.
But I think you could bring a golf club to the moon.
I thought they were showing them playing golf on the moon. What's wrong with
a soil sampler, dude.
So
I saw him on TV playing golf. What are you talking about?
You guys said that gravity is a fake force, okay? Well,
what's the gravity on the moon?
Whenever I go to the beach and I drop a chunk of metal, why does it go the direction that it goes through the?
Because you picked it up and carried it down to the beach and dropped it. So you mentioned gravity on the moon earlier. So what is the gravity on the moon?
It's 1/6 of this gravity that we're experiencing right now.
Yeah, where'd you get that idea?
Which gravity? Which gravity meter did they use? What was the model number that they went up and measured with?
It was a feather and a hammer.
Oh my!
Stop the cat.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, hang on just a second. If I had 1/6 gravity The first thing that I would do is jump like 6 times as high so I could prove it to everyone. Because if the gravity is 1/6, you're not worried about falling.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Didn't
hurt.
you see the dirt, the rooster tail dirt off that dune buggy up there?
Exactly.
It's not 1/6 gravity, sir.
Did you see the pendulum that was on the lander? How it
No,
moves a lot
Christ.
slower, and if you accelerate the
Tweaker
film,
shack.
if you
I think
accelerate,
that was their pipe they were hanging from their tweaker shack.
What the
no, you can
hell? I
it's a
know.
rope. It's it's not stiff. But if you if you speed up the film to where it moves like it does on Earth, you can see that their hands move lightning fast.
Tweaker pendulum.
Dude,
What a crock.
Can we get serious about gravity and explore the cosmological constant crisis? Or are you guys tired of hearing that one?
I would
there's a
just
cross-
like.
That's in
I would
cosmology.
just. Most definitely. I think I would just like to have someone explain to me how math, when it bends, makes things relatively go up and down. Tomcat, you got any explanations how if you bend mathematical concepts, descriptions, abstracts, that all of a sudden it has some sort of physical consequence?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah, do you say bending light?
No. Mathematical concepts. See, the idea of space and time, both mathematical descriptions or concepts, all of a sudden have, I guess, some kind of consequence in reality. How do mathematical concepts have consequences in reality?
I don't know. I don't think it's just purely mathematical. It's like an electric field is not completely mathematical.
No, that's an
Well, that's
electric
measurable.
field. Yeah, that's an electric
fields are-
field. I'm talking about
Yeah.
space and time, and those are mathematical abstract descriptions.
There are also fields.
Okay, can you show me the time field, please?
Can you see an electric field?
Okay, that's an electric field. I want you to show me the time field.
This is a false equivalency fallacy,
Yeah.
right? We can falsify an electrical field. We can verify it. It's empirical, repeatable, testable. So we're not talking about that.
No,
Right?
we're not seeing. No, this is what you don't get, though,
voltmeter.
right? We're not seeing
Use a
fields,
voltmeter.
right?
You'll know if
We're
there's
seeing the effects of
electricity there.
fields. We're seeing the effects of fields. We're not seeing the fields themselves. This is the same principle that we're applying when it comes to space-time and gravity, right? We're not
Friend,
seeing.
we can't
picture it, but we can picture its effects.
chill
on all of
out.
it.
No. I want you to show me the time field.
Well,
How
I
we can
mean, I can't
detect
show you
that.
an electric field. I can't show you the same thing for an electric
You
field.
can't show me an electric field? Sure you can. Sure you
No,
can.
I can only
In
show
fact, you
you.
can manipulate the effects.
I can only show you. I can only show you its effects on charged particles. That's how it works.
No, you can actually
And then
create an electric field using actual energy, right? You can create a magnetic field, and we can show those effects. I want you to show me how you would create a time field. Go ahead.
We can manipulate the space-time field by manipulating masses. That's the same thing.
What?
Well,
So how would you manipulate?
Your imagination is running wild with you right now, just letting you know.
Well, no, you guys don't get that the reason that we have fields and the concepts of fields, these are constructs that we use to explain the effects of forces in reality.
What force?
Like the magnetic and electrical forces. We use the electric.
Okay, those are magnetic and electrical. I want you to show me the gravitational force that's supposed to be a pseudo force, which means non-force, which means fake. How could you
it's an
show that to me?
interaction. It's an interaction just like the other three interactions that we know about. And again, those are
Yeah, how would you turn up and down the old gravometer or grava generator and show me how you could, create that effect or manipulate that effect? How would you do that?
Well, the way you do it is by moving masses. That's the only way we can affect it.
So you move the mass, and that has what to do with gravity. You move it, and then where does the gravity part come in? What are you doing? What are you talking about?
Okay, so when you move mass, right? Let's say you collect mass into a spot, right? A bunch of mass. By doing that,
Okay, can you can you define mass for me, please? I hate to be super specific, but can you define mass?
Sure. It's like material, like any physical
Okay, so a pile
like
of
matter.
dirt, for example, right?
Yeah, that would work. Well,
So
no.
That's
To see
mass.
the effects.
Are you saying a
Yeah,
pile of dirt will start attracting things towards it?
yeah. I mean, if we had the tools to measure it, then I guess that we could measure the gravitational
What tool would you use?
forces.
What tool would you use?
This is hypothetical, right? We don't really have the tools to
No,
measure.
no, 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 no.
minuscule
I don't
forces.
want to do anything with hypotheticals. This is supposed to be provable. So I want you to tell me what tool we use to see the piles of dirt attracting things to them.
I can't show you that, but I can show you in a
So
similar
you've got
experiment.
nothing.
Similar
You've got nothing.
experiment where it's not dirt, which is not dirt. The Cavendish experiment is a
Okay.
good one to start off with.
So what's the observed phenomena in the Cavendish experiment? What's the naturally observed phenomena?
Let's not go with the naturally observed phenomenon. I can set up
What
the
is he, a
experiment
Well, I'm
science
trying
and look
to.
at the effects.
Oh, it sounds like
Don't
just
we
a
want to
contraption.
actually? Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
Well, no, right? If
Well,
the
why don't you want to talk about the experimental nature of it then?
because you guys are going to do this scientific gatekeeping where if you set up the conditions for an experiment, it's not an experiment anymore. Right? I don't
Scientific
subscribe to that
gatekeeping.
narrow thinking. I don't
Okay,
subscribe to that.
so listen, yeah, you've got the Nickelodeon circular reasoning scientific method in your noggin.
Well, no, right? Like if
Yeah.
I
Oh
am
yeah.
looking at, no, if I
So
set
you
up
were
a,
going to
if I
set
set
up
up
the contraption and then what?
okay, if I set up the contraction, I'm looking at how physics works, right? Physics is doing its thing. I'm just setting it up so it can do its thing, right? That's not my involvement.
The
That's physics doing its
contraption's
thing.
doing its thing.
The contraption's doing its thing based off the laws of physics, which is what I'm investigating. Is that a problem?
Okay, so when is shit going to get attracted to your pile of dirt?
Okay, well, it's not a pile of dirt. So in the Cavendish experiment, right, we're using metal. I don't think it's lead balls.
Yeah, I know. And you said physics was doing its thing. So when is physics going to do its thing with the big pile of dirt?
Okay, so you have a torsion wire. You have two
Okay.
masses of the end of the rod on the torsion wire, right? And then you have two balls placed at either end. And what you're doing in this experiment is you're moving the distance of the ball closer or further away.
Listen, you didn't want to talk about
torsion
how it
wire.
was experimental, so just tell us about how you're playing around with the contraption. Don't act like it's.
I was in.
Why
was in
give
the
it all
middle of
this
doing that.
scientific validity when you're just talking about the contraption? I don't
Wouldn't
get
it
it.
be? Isn't that called a mobile?
again,
You hang those over a crib.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Again, no, that's not the same thing. And also, right, if you wanted to investigate how a mobile works, right, you could do that in some way and derive some sort of physical equation or representation for that, right? The purpose in doing this experiment is not to see something in nature, it's to observe how physics works, right? That's what we're observing, that's what we're trying to determine.
Okay. So if it happens in reality, you're saying this is something that happens in reality. Why doesn't it happen with your pile of dirt?
Well, again, there's different conditions, right? So with gravity,
Oh, dude, just answer the question. Why is it, if it occurs in your little shed contraption so swimmingly?
it's different conditions.
So you mean shit's not going to start getting attracted to your pile of dirt?
Because of the different conditions.
Okay,
right?
so in the contraption setup, it works, but not out when you're piling up debris.
I mean, if you wanted to put dirt in a ball and use
my
that as
God.
the mass in the ball, then it could work.
Yeah,
mean,
then I have then I have a dirty Cavendish.
So old Huss, this is what he's telling us. Since there's no natural phenomenon that he doesn't want to talk about, what you do is the phenomena is that you build a shed, and then you put balls and shit and wires and rods and strings, and then maybe if you walk away from it for a couple hours, things might move. So all we need to know now that we have a phenomena, which is building a shed and balls and strings and wires and stuff, is what is the cause?
That the Cavendish experiment.
Yes, the Cavendish
That's it.
experiment. Yes.
Okay, the independent variable in the Cavendish experiment is the distance you're moving the big ball from the rod.
Nobody moves the ball. That's the whole point. Don't you know how the Cavendish works, dude?
That is how it works.
Nobody
The
adjusts
variable you're
anything.
yes,
I
you're
thought it was
moving the ball.
two balls on the end of a torsion bar or some other
Yeah, and then
nonsense.
there's a bigger mass, and then there's a bigger mass which the torsion wire, the mass on the torsion wire is going to be attracted to, and you're going to move the distance further or closer away,
Oh,
and then you're going to see
so it's
the
mass.
angle.
I think
It's mass. It's not gravity. Then
I think the variable is the pervert peeking through the shed hole looking at balls.
No,
That might be the variable.
The reason for the Cavendish experiment was for Cavendish to verify Newton's law of universal gravitation, which is his model, which he wanted to see if it predicted reality, and it did predict reality.
But you
in this
haven't.
experiment.
You haven't manipulated gravity. You've been manipulating just distance or masses.
Hey,
We're
okay.
not trying to
You have to
manipulate gravity.
manipulate Earth spin.
Stop for a
Spin of the
second.
Earth. You got to manipulate Earth spin.
He said he's imitating reality. I want to know where in reality he saw balls flying towards each other.
Again, you have to set up the conditions for the experiment. Right?
He's
this is how it works for any physical.
A thought experiment, manipulating a thought experiment.
Well, this is how it works for any physical experiment. If you want to test how momentum works, right, then you're going to put two trains together and smash them together and see how they move afterwards. Right?
Oh my
That's
lord,
not that you're
dude.
gonna see.
Wait a minute, smashing trains is science now?
Yes, it is science.
Yeah,
You
I
can
guess
measure
so.
and try to
Smashing
predict the
trains.
results.
Yes. Oh my God.
You only have to measure, Larry. You just measure it.
He wants to predict where the headlight's going to land when the trains crash.
Well, no, with momentum, you're actually measuring the velocity of the two bodies before and after the collision. So
Don't you know that at those speeds, metal is malleable? Oh my gosh.
It sounds as if you're, I wouldn't use the word conceding, but it seems you're acknowledging at least that as long you can show this as long as you've set up this particular contraption.
Because it's not
We're
some
not going to see any stuff starting getting attracted to any piles of dirt.
Because we can measure the supposed amount of forces.
Okay, so you don't give never a straight answer. Isn't it funny that those shed balls?
I'm agreeing.
Hold on, let me ask you one more question, then I'll shut up. Isn't it funny that those shed balls, they want to attract to each other? You say, yet they're ignoring attracting to the center of the Earth.
So they're ignoring that. You're holding the wire up.
Oh my God,
We're looking at
dude.
horizontal forces. We're looking at horizontal forces.
Oh, horizontal.
So it's just a
Gravity's
mobile,
horizontal.
right? It's just a mobile. It's just balancing things, right, on a wire.
Well, no. Do you know F equals ma? Newton's law.
Yeah. What's mass? A pile of dirt. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the reason that we do it horizontally is because we already know that stuff is going on vertically, and horizontally there should be no extra forces which might explain what's happening besides the one we're looking for, which we think is going to be gravity, right? Not some magnetic force, not some electric force, but gravity.
That's caused by the spin of the Earth. But are you taking into account the other three spins that are going on? Like just the one Earth rotates. You taking into account the wobbling of the Earth, and then also the fact that it's going at 66,000 miles around the sun. So you've got all these different spins. How is that affecting the torsion bar?
Well, that's not. It doesn't really affect the torsion bar because when you
fuck,
put the
there
torsion
goes
bar
the
on its
fucking-
own,
there
when you
goes
put
the
the torsion
pendulum
bar on its own,
experiment.
can I speak? Can I
There
speak,
goes the
please?
pendulum experiment
Can I speak?
now.
Can I speak? Can I speak, please? So when you put the torsion bar on its own, right, this wobbling and spinning of space and whatnot, spinning of Earth rather, right, you're not seeing the bar move. So we can assume that the initial conditions of the system are zero net forces before you put the other balls in. right? So that's how you know you're isolating for the forces created between the balls and not the spinning of Earth or whatever. Because when you put it on its own, the torsion bar won't move, right? That's how you know the initial conditions are set right for the experiment.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Once you get the two balls set right, then how do you know that the spin of the Earth? Like, how do you know which one's affecting it? The spin, or the wobble, or the other one, which is just the Earth flying around the sun. Like, you've got all these different
Newton's
spins
laws of
going
motion.
on.
F equals ma, right? So if you see no acceleration, right, then there is no force, or there is no net force. Sorry, right? So when you start adding things to the system that are causing acceleration, then you're increasing the net force to something greater than zero, right? So if it's zero before, and then you put the balls next to each other, and then the forces start increasing because you're seeing the acceleration happen, then you can tell that what you put there is causing acceleration and nothing else. Because if you
And how do you vary? How do you vary the gravity manipulate? You gotta manipulate the variable, right? You gotta be able to vary. And if you can't speed up the spin of Earth to vary and manipulate gravity, then you're screwed. It's not really an experiment.
Well, see, with the Cavendish experiment, we're trying to verify what Newton thought about, what the forces
Dude was trying
experienced
to
between.
weigh the Earth, get the mass of the Earth or something.
Yeah. Thank you. I was just gonna say, it had nothing to do with balls falling in space.
Okay.
Where
Sure.
did you get that? Where did you get that idea, Totally Terrence? Because you're not the first to say that. They whistle past this. It's like a nouveau. It's like this Cavendish thing. I don't know when you got introduced to Cavendish, but back in the day when it was on the test, it had nothing to do with gravity.
Oh, how come? Like,
Well,
that's
I'm just
not my
asking you.
experience.
I'm asking how come the story changed. Where are you getting this?
Okay, what was on your test then? Because I don't know what you're talking about. Cavendish
Well,
was
see,
always about
the dude,
verifying Newton's theory.
this 16th, 17th century fancy lad in knickers was trying to weigh the Earth or get the mass of the Earth or something like that.
No,
So
he was trying to
where is
find
it
the
that you guys? You're going to blab. You ask me. So where is it you are getting this version of your story? What's the origin of it? Do you know?
Well, this is just stuff that you can easily access on like Wikipedia or the
Oh,
internet,
okay,
right?
Wikipedia. Okay, so yeah, something that's crowdsourced and changed by the second. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, buddy. Okay.
Does that raise a red flag? I mean, to be honest with you, even when I was in the 5th grade, it raised a red flag when I found out this fancy lad in knickers was attempting to weigh the Earth.
Yeah, I mean,
it was one step
I
into getting there.
I took
I
a
see
lot
what
of the
you're saying.
bullshit for granted, but I was like, he was doing what?
Okay,
And then everybody, when they talk about Cavendish, it's always about. They always talk about, the gravity is gonna make these balls like go towards each other, and if gravity is caused by the spin of the Earth, then you have to vary that. You've got to manipulate that to see if it's, if it causes it to go low. Are the balls gonna?
You could just go to the ocean that's in between two mountains and see if the water tends to angle up towards those mountains, pulling that water towards it.
Okay. What are you guys talking about now?
Or keep an eye on that pile of dirt.
Big things is what we're saying. Like, if it's just a mass of something, then I don't know. I mean, shouldn't the water go towards a huge ship? Like, that ship's full of all. That's a big piece of mass, right?
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
here's the
seriously.
thing, right? So we can tell when an object will be moved by gravity.
Oh my
And
lord!
when an object,
Theoretically or in reality?
Theoretically,
Okay,
and in
we're
reality,
talking about
because
reality because earlier you said,
can
yeah, this is just
verify
how
this.
physics works.
We can verify this, right? If I've done a similar experiment in high school, which is similar to the Cavendish experiment, but it involves like net forces and free body diagrams and whatnot. If you can use the force of gravity in free body diagrams
It was
and get
it was
predictable and
it was a
testable results.
problem on paper, or you set something up.
Well, okay, so if it's a problem on
Why
paper,
can't
right? And
why can you people never answer the simplest of questions?
It's a thought experiment. Just say it.
it's not just a thought experiment, though. That's what you're getting wrong,
Did you set
right? If I just
something up,
say,
or was it
if
a
I
pen and
just say,
paper?
if I just say it's something on pen and paper, right? Then that discounts its how valid it
C'est
predicted
la
what happened
vie.
in reality, right? So it shouldn't. I don't want to just say that, and so you guys can be like, "Oh, it's just on
Well,
paper. It
just tell
doesn't
the
tell us
truth.
anything."
If
Just let
you
us
actually,
remember.
if
That's not how
somebody
science
actually
works.
set up something and then they got all these things and then they had all this data from setting up an actual experiment, then it was something. But if it's just all theoretically a thought experiment, like, if you can't vary and manipulate something, there's no way to test if it's doing it more when you have more gravity or less when there's less gravity. I mean, isn't that the whole? Well, that's what it became about. Gravity later, apparently, when it started, it was about weighing the Earth. I'll shut up.
Okay, I mean, we can tell though, right? Like, we can calculate the using Newton's laws, the force of gravity, right? And if the force of gravity exceeds any other forces, right, that counteract it, we'll see acceleration in the thing, right? But if it doesn't, then we won't see acceleration. So that's when we can tell when something will move, right? So it doesn't mean that every object will be moving towards another object. It
Yeah,
just means it exerts a force on
in
an
the shed
object.
contraption. We get it. You made that quite
Well, not
clear that
only.
this would only be you would only find this in this shed contraption. We get it.
Well, not only, right? If you
When?
validate,
Give an example, please.
the reason, okay, so after the Cavendish experiment, we validated the Newton's laws of universal gravitation, which allowed us to use the force of gravity in
Dude,
physics calculations.
who's we?
Right? So what do you mean? Okay, the scientific community. Right. So after being able to use the force of gravity, right, in your equations, we find that it can predict the amount of forces you expect to see. It'll be a lot easier to explain. Okay, so in physics, like on Earth, right, in experiments on Earth, the force of gravity is 9.81 meters per second squared times the mass of an object, right? And using that force, and if we want to test if that's actually accurate, or
I thought you were talking about horizontal attractions, but
right, but it works in every scenario, though. I mean, even the Cavendish experiment, we can calculate the force of attraction based on
okay.
distance and mass alone.
Okay, I'll stop giving you a hard time. So set up me the perfect conditions necessary for this big pile of dirt that I have to start attracting smaller piles of dirt.
Okay. Well, one thing you might want to do is make the dirt compact. Right. So make the pile of dirt like a compact pile of dirt, so that it moves as one body. Right.
It blows in the wind. Okay, gotcha, dude. You've lost your mind.
What are you talking about? I'm trying to explain to you, but what's the problem?
I turned the dirt into a giant sphere. Happy?
Okay, yeah.
A compacted sphere. Now, set up the perfect conditions from here where everything around that is of less material will be stuck to this thing eventually.
It depends on how long you're willing to wait and how much dirt you have.
Have you ever seen this happen?
What size does it have to be for everything to start jumping on it?
Well, hard to say, because if you're talking about like a stone or okay, so you have this pile of dirt and then you have this smaller pebble that's of less mass, and you're asking me when will it attract the pile of dirt? Well, the answer is never, because there's other forces like the force of friction which will stop it from moving.
If I had two identical Earths about 50 miles away from each other, lined up on Highway 101, would all the cars just float?
Okay, take your giant dirt ball down to the skating rink, and now we have marbles all around. When do the marbles stick to this ball?
Even then, it's the force of friction, right? The amount of gravitational attraction caused by that ball is going to be very small. That is going
But
to.
you put some knickers on and hang some balls in a shed, and you're in business, boy.
All right.
Because there's no force of friction involved.
What
right?
if
The
you
force of
put
friction.
knickers on and go to the skating rink? Then what size ball do you need to make those all fly in the air?
Even a skating rink has a coefficient of friction large enough to prevent like you seeing any acceleration. Right. This is the thing. It has to be floating in the air, right?
So
Yeah,
not hanging by
that's
a
the only
string,
conditions.
then. So not hanging by a
Well,
string.
Well, no, it can hang by a string if you're only looking at
So
horizontal forces.
not floating in the air.
Well, it has to be in the air so that there's no friction involved, and then you'll see them move together. If you
So
want to
not
examine
holding
the
by a
forces of it,
string.
yes, it can be in the air, held by a string or not held by a string, but it depends on whether you want to see, like validate.
So why isn't there a bunch of stuff? Why isn't there a bunch of stuff stuck to the moon?
Why isn't
all the space trash?
I mean, the gravitational pull of the Earth would be stronger than the moon in that case.
So we just have a littering problem on Earth. I guess you got to have that one.
So
And
listen,
they do say eventually the moon will collide with the Earth.
Yeah, eventually, yeah. Listen, the moon pulls water to make tides. Okay, it pulls up on water, makes mountains of water, but it can't pull a satellite to it.
Well, the reason the tides happen is because of the irregular shape of the Earth, the obloid shape of
We
the
got
Earth.
all kinds of answers, don't they?
I would like to say, in response
know what
to
to say
the
to that.
like trash thing, a lot of
Well, it
space debris
sounds
does
more
fall back
important
to
that the
Earth.
Earth's floating. I'm sorry.
What, dead pirates?
The guy who was talking about the
I feel
space
what I
trash.
said. It'll all
Yeah,
be
dead
fine
pirates.
because the gravitational
Yeah, go ahead,
force is
dead
stronger
pirates.
than the
Sorry.
moon. The gravitational force is stronger than the moon, so we typically send things out into orbit, right? So a lot of the space debris wouldn't be orbiting the moon, so it would never even enter its gravitational field to be pulled down out of orbit if it were even.
Oh,
to
thank
reach that
God.
point.
Thank
Where's
God.
the gravitational field? Where does Earth's end and the moon start?
So, dead pirates, how big a pile of dirt do I have to form until other smaller piles of dirt start getting drawn towards it?
Well, where's the dirt?
Wherever you want it. Yeah, on Earth. The other guy the other guy says the dirt has to be floating. So, since you're the gravitational expert, how big a pile of dirt do I have to make until stuff starts sticking to it?
Oh, I'm not an expert. It was just very simple to answer.
Oh,
okay.
all these
Yeah,
experts.
okay. Never
are no
mind.
longer experts.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint.
As long as it's something that may or may not have been covered by Star Trek, you're good. But okay, never mind.
He must be fun at conventions.
Yeah, so apparently we just have to imagine these things. No, I'm not throwing you under the bus, dead pirates, but I'm talking about the guy with the floating pile of dirt.
Well, mountains, they're pretty big. Now they should have shit flying towards them. It should be hard to leave a mountain.
Here's the thing, though. Like you have the tools. You have the force of gravity. What we say is going to be. You can do these free body equations yourself and see if they actually match up with
I don't
reality.
have any knickers.
You can disprove gravity all you
Can't do a
want if you set it up
three-body
yourself.
problem.
Real quick, mountains aren't that big actually compared to the Earth.
You can disprove Newton's laws of motion on these small scales if you do the experiments yourself and get different results. Right? Like
Hold
you
on.
have the tools.
Mountains are big compared to piles of dirt. That's what we were comparing.
Oh yeah, sure. If it's just like a mountain-sized thing in a
Is a mountain bigger than a pile of dirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
So excluding the Earth from the equation, yeah, the dirt would be attracted to the mountain if it was in space, surrounded by nothing else.
Okay, so another story. Thank you.
So it needs to be in a vacuum. So we've got that requirement now.
No, I was just
I
like
mean,
removing
again,
Earth.
you guys can
If the
Like,
validate this stuff
conditions are
yourself.
Hold
just
on.
right.
We're
trying to
building
demonstrate.
we're building your experiment for you. We need a pile of dirt floating in a vacuum. Okay, I'm just writing this down.
Oh, it's not an experiment. You can experiment with this.
Is Cavendish an experiment, Dead Pirates, or is it a shed contraption that people get excited about?
I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, never mind then.
It is an experiment, but it doesn't directly prove
No,
gravity.
when you
It verifies.
when we grilled you on the requirements of fulfilling the scientific method, you said no mas. That was you.
No, you guys just get
Yes,
hung up on the natural phenomenon bit, but
I
again, that's
know.
your thing you're
You have a
superimposing.
circular. You have this Nickelodeon version, Ada Twist scientist, circular reasoned scientific method. It's twisted.
No, this whole thing about natural
Yes,
phenomenon is just like we're looking at
but
physics.
time
I
out.
don't know what else to tell you.
Listen, when the rubber hits the road, though, you hype it up as it existing in reality. These are the physics, and then anytime you're asked to like demonstrate it, it happens in the shed. But anything outside this shed, you're like, well, how long do you want to wait? Technically in 58 eons, it will move 3 nanometers, technically. But
We've given you
that's
the
the
theory.
bullshit you're left with. Do you hear? I mean, what's going on?
It's not even BS though. We've
the-
given you
is
the
it
theory.
okay? Is it theoretical or does it occur in nature?
And occur under the correct conditions if you want
Okay,
things to
so
attract and
you
rotate
answered
together.
it by not answering it.
We've given you a theory
I
though.
rest my
We've given
case.
you the two. Again, this is a physical phenomenon we're looking at, right? It's not just these discrete scenarios you're playing out. If you want to validate whether
Well,
something
it's
will move
funny.
together, we will give you the tools to do that. We have the theory. You
Yeah,
can do these calculations, right?
it's
You can
funny
see
though when I told you about how back in the day the shed contraption was about weighing the earth. Now you're telling me it's a confirmation of Newton's laws of gravity.
Yeah, this whole thing about weighing the earth,
So when you
I get
say
it. I get it.
listen, when you say hold on, I'm not trying to hold on. When you say we've given you the tools, well, I'm telling you the damn story's changed in the last 20 years. How does that not what?
I don't think the story has changed. So when they were
The
saying
hell
that
it
they were trying to
hasn't.
measure,
Okay,
they were trying to.
why didn't
I
you
can
come here
explain.
with he was measuring the mass of the earth or whatever?
Well, no, it's not just one.
So the
It's
story changed.
so he needed
So
he
don't
needed
say
the
we have the
universal. He
tool.
needed. Can I explain, please? He needed the
Yeah, I don't
universal
want
gravitational
bullshit
constant.
explanations. You've been explaining for the
Okay,
last 20 minutes.
dude, you're lying though.
Okay,
Like
go
this
ahead.
whole thing about weighing the earth, right? I can easily rectify that, right? So the whole experiment,
Oh,
it was
God.
about both things, right? If you got the universal gravitational constant, which he got from the Cavendish experiment, then you could use that with the orbit of the Earth and
It
centrifugal
wasn't an
motion to get the
experiment. It was
mass of the
trying
Earth.
to measure the mass of the Earth. Where did you get your information from?
He's not measuring, he's inducing using the equation, right?
Okay,
The whole thing about
fine. Then okay, fine. He proves Newton right. Why? Then we're back to the pile of dirt. Why is there no demonstration of this occurring out in nature? Why is it stories out in
Cavendish experiment.
celestial bodies and shed shit? Why is it one of the two? Why not tell us about when 2 cars in a lot, a Cadillac pulled a Yugo towards it or something? Like something.
Portion
here's the
bar
thing
twist.
though, like we can't get there because well we know that in every day the conditions for moving won't be met, and that's what the theory tells us. I don't know else to tell you, right? So
So the
and if you
theory
can't get
says
past this,
don't expect it happening, but it explains all the stars in the sky and the planets.
right? But you don't want it
Don't
to get
expect to
there.
see
But
any
if you
evidence
do
of it,
accept it,
but it checks
if you
out
do
because look at Saturn.
Right, but if you do accept it, and if you do accept, there's planets orbiting around the sun and all that, and the gravity matches up, but you won't get there because you don't have gravity yet, right?
So
Because you
what is
want to
this?
see
An
the dirt move.
ideology? What is this? An ideology
Isn't
or an acknowledgement of reality? I mean, it sounds like you're peddling a mythos. No
It's not
offense.
even a mythos, right? The
What
whole
is
thing
it
that you're
then?
getting stuck up on is that, it's only a contraption. You can't see it done in real life, right? You want to see the dirt move. But the thing is, we already give you the tools to tell whether or not something will move. You can set up the experiment based on the basic physical calculations that we give you, based on what we're telling you the theory is, and then you can
Okay,
validate it
you
for
can set
yourself.
up a contraption that twists around, but everywhere else I have to look in the sky.
Well, Kevin, it's just the most practical experiment that
Oh,
we have.
dude,
Right?
you're
If you
putting
want to set
lipstick
something
on a
else,
pig.
if you have, if
Who
you want to
taught
set
you to
something
say?
else,
Who taught you to say? Who taught you? I've done the Cavendish. Have you?
yes, in high school.
Okay, what did the class do? Did everyone? I'm just curious because I'll tell you what happened in my class. But what happened in your class? Did you guys do it as one unit or did you guys do it as groups? What did you
It was just a
use?
teacher. Well, no, it
Oh,
was just a teacher doing a quick demonstration.
oh, so
I
they
didn't.
just
I didn't
demoed
do
it
it
for
myself.
you. So you
Yeah,
didn't
they demoed
actually
it.
do it. You didn't do
I
it.
didn't actually do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
half the
what's your
class.
point, though?
Listen, in my experience, which it's bullshit, fucking high school, whatever. But half the class reified. Half the class said nothing moved. Guess who got better grades for that project?
Well, the people who said it moved, but I'm assuming there
There
was
you
mistakes
go.
that the other people
So,
did.
oh, dude, there's no mistakes. They were all the same. They were all the same contraptions. That's all. You guys always say that. I thought an experiment was supposed to be repeatable.
Well, I mean, this is
So you're
anecdotal.
telling
I
me
can't really.
if I don't get the so you're telling me if I don't get the results that you're expecting, I'm doing it wrong. Is
Well,
that
that's what I'm
science?
assuming. I can't
No,
say anything here
does
or
that
there.
sound like science to you?
Well, if what you're saying is true, then it's not science for me to assume that it's not. But I don't know what you're
Okay,
saying
is
is true or
science
not.
okay? So you're telling me that you gave me a snap answer. You said, well, you set it up wrong.
Yeah, that's my assumption. I don't know
Okay, so
if
does
it's
that
truly
okay? Is that a
if it's
very okay? Listen, I'm telling you right now. I mean, and experts will say the same thing. That the results of the Cavendish aren't consistent. In my class, I guarantee you, the guys who said it moved were bullshitting. I knew them.
okay, man. I mean, I
Anyways,
can't really say anything to
I think
that.
it's funny though that the only evidence of gravity is Cavendish. It's wild. And I thought this
I
was the
mean,
era of space time. Is this you guys have just thrown Einstein under the bus? Oh, it's the same thing. I know. Go on.
That
You
is
can-
the
well,
evidence.
no. I mean, if you also accept like the globe Earth and you accept that there's other planets orbiting around our sun, then the gravity matches up there. But you guys want gravity to get to that
Gravity
part, so
matches
it's
up
kind
to
of we're kind of
what?
stuck. We're kind of stuck here because you need gravity. You guys want gravity to get to the part where we orbit around stuff, but like based based off of how things orbit, right? Like flat Earth came, I think globe Earth and the fact that we know about the orbits of other planets came way before uh, the theory of gravity was polished. So it could be used to validate those, but I can't use it to validate those because you guys don't believe it. So you kind of see what I'm saying, right? Like the only experiment we can do on Earth to prove it to you that's practical is a Cavendish. I could
Some
probably
shed
Okay,
some
think of
great.
another
shed
one.
So
contraption.
I
what
could
did you
probably think of
what
another
did
one, but it's
okay, listen, I'll give it to you after you tell me what you saw moving sideways that led you to believe you could hang things in a closet and they'll fly sideways.
okay. So yeah, the Cavendish experiment. So you have rod,
Oh my
you got
god.
tubes, you got
Am I
two small
muted? Is
masses.
he have me muted?
I can hear you.
Well, answer me.
You said what convinced you that things would fly
No. I said,
sideways in
what
the
did you
shed?
see? What did you see? What did guy see that he said, I'm going to hang balls in the shed and see if the balls will fly towards each other? So what did he go outside and see fly sideways? And and then he decided to repeat that. Go ahead, explain.
Well, it's not just about flying sideways, it's about masses attracting mass, which is what he assumed happened when he dropped an apple, when the apple dropped on Newton. That's when Newton thought that, okay, this mass apple fell towards the Earth, which is also a mass when you think about it. So he thought, okay, maybe mass attracts mass. We can set up an experiment to isolate for attraction on the horizontal vector. Because it would be really difficult to isolate for forces on the vertical vector. Because,
I don't get it. I asked you for a half an hour for an example, and now you're saying, hey, the apple, right, fell from the tree and attracted to it. What's going on here? Yeah, the apple. An apple seed. Listen, an apple seed grows in the ground. A tree grows. Leaves form. Blossoms bloom. Bees show up. Apples form. A squirrel shows up, or the wind blows, or the fruit becomes too heavy for the stem. It returns to equilibrium. If apples were helium balloons, they'd go up.
Old Hoss, I can tell you how the pears in the backyard fall. Okay, so the deer come around, right? And then when the squirrels go up and shit, the pears fall, then the deer eat the pears, so they wait for the squirrels.
That's right, teamwork. Yeah, Newton must have got knocked in the noggin really hard to forget that the reason why the apple fell is because it's more dense than the air once it separates from the tree. But it returns to the ground.
Explain anything.
It rots. Another seed bloom. The whole thing starts over again. It doesn't. It doesn't explain gravity for sure. That's true.
But did Newton wear the same
this
kind
whole
of
thing about
outfit?
density?
Oh, yeah, he had some of those knickers, I think.
Okay.
Powder blue. Periwinkle.
There you go.
Okay, and what Newton did, right, is what you call density, right? He made it more generalized, right? He talked about mass. Density is a function of mass. When you think about it, it's a product of, it's a quotient of mass and volume, right? So Newton, he kind of did what you guys were talking about. He developed the relationship between mass and the force exerted by gravity.
What gravity? You haven't shown that yet. You're telling us that mass is the cause, but where's the gravity at?
Gravity is just the name we give to the phenomenon of masses
Of what?
mass.
But you haven't shown that.
I mean, with the apple and the tree and the Cavendish experiment, those are two.
No, you didn't manipulate anything. Oh, you're saying that gravity is an effect, not a cause.
It's the theoretical construct to explain what we're seeing.
Theoretical construct. Oh, so it's not even real. It's just a theoretical construct.
In the same way that an electrical field is a theoretical construct. In the same way that all these
So
other
electrical fields don't exist either. So electrical fields don't exist either.
I mean, technically, under your standards, yes, they don't exist. They explain things.
Okay,
they definitely do a good job of explaining things, but they don't.
Well, you're anthropomorphous. This is an anthropomorphic fallacy. Anthropomorphizing. You're saying that constructs explain.
I can manipulate an electrical field. I could just have none and then turn a motor on, and now I have an electrical field.
You're not. Okay, here's the thing about electrical fields, though. The only ways you can manipulate electrical fields is by manipulating charged particles. Charged particles creates electrical fields.
I can just spin a magnet inside some copper, and guess what? I can go turn my radio on.
Right, so you accept that charged particles manipulate electrical fields, but you won't accept that mass manipulates space-time, which is a field of gravity that gravity interacts with. Right? So why do you
can't manipulate concepts, bro? No, you're manipulating a concept. He's talking about manipulating. He's talking about real things. You're talking about concepts.
we're talking about the same thing essentially. He's talking about a motor, right,
No,
which is about
yeah, a
electrical induction,
motor,
right? Which is
right?
electrical induction, which is charged particles moving, right? So that's what you're
Charged
doing.
particles. So
Right,
charged
you're not
particles are
manipulating.
real, yes.
Right,
Charged
but you're
particles are
not
real.
touching a
Yeah, yeah.
right, but you're
And so
not
you're saying
directly
you get
touching.
rocks and balls and stuff, and then you go ahead and manipulate ideas?
You're manipulating. You're manipulating a field just like you're manipulating the electrical field with a
What
motor, for
field?
example.
What field? Show me the
What do
field,
you
because you're talking about particles, charged particles, those are real. But then the field that you're talking about is purely conceptual. It's only in the mind.
what do you get? No, I don't get what this disconnect is, right? I've already established
I
to
don't
you
either.
that we
Show
can.
me the space time. Show me the space time.
Can I show you an electrical field? I cannot. I can only show you how it affects
Yes, you
charged
can.
particles.
No, it's a
How?
thing.
How do you
How?
know that?
Because you
That's
can.
the only
Have
way
you
to
ever been
know that.
shocked before? Have you ever been shocked before?
Right,
Are
and
you
I'm
following me,
feeling
Got Hurt?
the right, and the
You
only
ever
way I
seen
can
that light?
perceive an electrical field, yeah, the only way I can perceive an electrical field is through the charged particles interacting with me. That's the
Yes,
only
the
way.
real things.
Right.
So where's the
So
space time?
again, that's not the analogy, right? So
That was your
you're trying to
analogy. This is your
no,
analogy. You're
you're
talking
using it
about
wrong.
charged
You're using it
particles
wrong.
and now space time.
You're using the analogy wrong, right? We're talking about fields
Well, it's
and
your
we're talking about
analogy.
forces. No, no. See, look, okay. I'm establishing two things, right?
Okay.
Field,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
which is the mathematical
Field.
construct, and then the forces
Oh,
associated
fields
with
are
the field.
mathematical constructs. So when you put like the iron shavings, you don't actually see that field around the magnet.
Right, we're seeing how the field
So the field is
theoretically,
math.
right?
It's numbers.
Right,
The field is
the field
numbers.
explains yes, the field is explaining what we're seeing.
Oh, so it's not physical. So magnetic fields aren't physical.
Yes, they're not physical, but well, no. Think about it this way.
Tell
There's
that to the
definitely
people
something
wearing
causing. There's
pacemakers.
definitely no. Think about it this way. There's definitely something causing the motion and the alignment of those little shavings. Sorry, right? There's definitely something causing that. What we're calling that is a field, and then we're making some inductions, right? We're making some inductions about the properties of this field based off what we're seeing, right? So it's we use
And what is that?
observations.
What are the properties of this field?
Okay, so we say that a field, in we say that it's a charged particle. Um, what's one thing we know about an electrical field is that
The hell, dude.
positive charges, yeah, positive charges. Like, here's the thing: it's difficult for me to explain because the field is the mathematical construct.
Oh, so it's just
Like,
a conceptual. It's not real.
no, like if I give you a drawing, right, and I show you this is a proton, this is an electron, right, and here's the charges on both of them. I can draw you the field representing the
Yeah.
forces at each position that an electron would be, a point particle would be on that, right? It's a model for explaining how things move and how things interact. That's the field.
No, it's a reification. That's a reification. So you're taking ideas, you're drawing them on paper, and then you're saying, this is real, trust me.
Well, it's similar to that, but it's slightly different because what you're drawing on paper is matching up with your observation in reality.
So in the reality, there's a magnet, and the magnet has actual properties and actual effects that we can vary and manipulate. But you are telling me that you're not varying and manipulating gravity and saying that I have effects, and I'm calling it gravity, but I'm not varying and manipulating anything. Right?
No, okay, you're not manipulating the field itself though with a magnet. Like all you're doing is putting things around it or touching it. Like you're touching a magnet you're causing the spins of atoms to change or something like that. That's what causes
Holy crap.
magnetism.
So what you're telling me is that I got a paper clip sitting on the desk, right? And I take a block of wood, nothing happens to it. Take an apple, nothing happens to it. I go grab some glass, nothing happens to it. I take other metal, nothing happens. And then I bring in a magnet and I put it next to that paper clip, and all of a sudden, snap, clicks, and they connect together. I've varied and manipulated something. I've brought in the thing that I thought caused the effect. You're telling me what is causing the effect of what in nature and calling it gravity. Go ahead.
Okay, so with the magnet, the cause would be the magnetic field. The effect is the metal moving to the magnet.
Uh-huh.
Right? So, and similar
So
to
that's
gravity,
magnetism. We call that magnetism, right?
that's magnetism, right?
Great.
So
Now,
with
gravity. Show me what you're using to vary and manipulate to get the desired effect in gravity.
Right. So with gravity, the field you're manipulating is space-time in general, and how you do that is by moving objects. Right? And the effect you're seeing is objects attracting to each other.
So you move objects. So if I push a piano, do I push a piano and then all of a sudden I have gravity?
Well, gravity is always there, but whether you'll see something like accelerate towards something will depend on the equations and the the exact
Gotcha.
conditions.
So when I let go of a helium balloon and it goes up, that's gravity?
You're equating space time as being literally just mass when you're trying to push the piano. Like you're saying that you're trying to equate this Newtonian mass attracting mass as being space time, but you're just pushing masses around to prove it. That's not how it works. That's not the it's not equivalent. That's not what space time is.
Well, no,
Space-time,
I mean
space-time is not just a mass.
Space-time isn't a mass, right? It's the right, but using the analogy of theoretical fields and constructs to explain effects in reality, that's how the analogy goes, right? I'm manipulating
Theories do not have physical properties. Theories do not have physical effects. Can you show me how freedom affects a book?
Okay, then then I'll have to go back and say that the magnetic field isn't what's causing it, but
So you're saying that magnetism is just a theoretical construct. It's not real at all. It's not physical.
Magnetic fields and electrical fields are concepts to help us understand what's happening. What's actually
A
happening.
magnetic
crap, dude.
is actually a physical thing that we can test and like see observable results from. Like you can throw lead shavings down around a magnet and you can see the lines of flux around it. You can you can do something with electricity, and you can put it on an oscilloscope and see the waves, and you can see the outcome. Like you can vary and manipulate to get an outcome, and so on and so forth, that you can actually witness even on a screen. You can actually see it on a screen with electricity.
Yeah, I've already sort of addressed this, right? When you say that we can, that the electrical field is physical, all you're doing to validate that is by using the supposed effects that the field has on charged particles.
Yeah,
That's
we
all
don't
you're
know actually what's going on at its most fundamental levels, but we do know that there is something that we are manipulating, like that we can change the outcome to.
Right, and that's what's happening in Cavendish experiment. You're manipulating
No, it's
distance,
not.
and you're seeing
No,
something
no, no,
happening.
it's not.
Yes, that's the exact same thing.
No,
I don't
Cavendish,
know how
because
else to explain.
Cavendish is not consistent.
How is it not consistent?
It doesn't happen every time in every setup in every university. It doesn't happen correctly every single fucking. You get different results depending on who set it up, how they set it up, and where they are. And it doesn't. It's not mass attracting mass. In fact, that's not what Cavendish was intended to prove.
I know that. It validates Newton's laws of gravity. And it I mean, yeah.
Look, no. First off, Einstein debunks Newton when it comes to that. Secondly, Cavendish's so-called experiment was meant to prove the density of the Earth. That's the name of his paper. He was trying to find the density of the Earth. Density.
Yeah, by finding the gravitational constant predicted by it was like the piece missing in Newton's equations. Right? And he found the missing piece. Therefore, he
didn't
could
find
find
it.
the mass of the Earth. He did find
He
it.
didn't
The
find
universal
anything.
gravitational constant. That's the gravitational
How would
constant.
let me ask you this? How would he negate? How would he find anything by putting something on a torsion bar? You know, whatever. Like by balancing objects. Like how would he somehow negate the gravitational pull of the Earth or the gravitational pull of the walls of the shed or anything else that he was around him? If there was a hill nearby him, if there was a you see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, I do
none of
see what
this.
you're saying.
It's impossible. He could not
Well, I
isolate
wouldn't.
those things.
Okay, I wouldn't say it's impossible. The reason I know this is because, right, before you put the bigger masses next to the torsion wire, right, before you even start doing the experiment, you just hang up the torsion wire by itself. You see that it's not moving. And Newton's laws of physics tell us that if something's not moving, there's no net forces on it, right? So this is not to say that everything else is negated, right? There's technically still forces and attraction happening between every other object in the universe on that torsion wire. But since it's not moving, we say that all those cancel out. There's zero net force. So when you start the experiment, when you put the bigger balls next to the torsion wire, and then it starts accelerating, then you can tell that the forces from the bigger ball is causing that. So you're getting the forces. The movement will tell you the forces of the bigger ball on the smaller ball, and nothing else because it wouldn't move before the bigger ball.
Wouldn't the bigger ball also be moved, even though it would be less? Wouldn't it also be moved towards the smaller ball?
It would also be attracted, but it wouldn't necessarily move because the ball was set on like a surface, and the surface, like technically there is attraction between. It goes both ways, but it wouldn't move because there's friction with the table.
Look, the whole thing, the whole setup, the whole so-called experiment, it's bunk. Like it doesn't prove anything. It literally
know about
complicates things. Honestly, yeah. It's
because
it doesn't prove gravity. It doesn't prove mass
Mm.
attracts mass. In fact, Einstein, your guys' guy, friggin' debunked all of that. Newton and Cavendish.
Well, that's not to say that Newton's theories are completely unuseful. They're still useful in predicting things on smaller
No, look,
scales. It's just
Newton is useful when it comes to some of his laws of motion. Okay, like that is those are useful, but they also presuppose like being in a frictionless environment, like in a vacuum, and being like in a zero G environment. Like that's essentially what they are. Like
I mean, if you could simulate.
but his law of gravitation was thrown out the window by Einstein.
I mean, I mean, I have heard that like if you take Einstein's equations and then put it in smaller scales, they become Newton's equations. I've heard that.
Yeah, but that's not true. No, they're completely antithetical to each other. Newton
I wouldn't say
causes
antithetical.
Newton says that gravity is a force, a pulling force.
Einstein says that it's not a force, that it is an effect. And through all of that, they come to say that it's more of a pushing thing. Like they're adverse to each other.
Okay. I mean, but it still
One
like
is an
acts like a
effect,
force.
one is a force. One is a pull, one is a push.
I mean, yeah, but we perceive it as like a force because it's virtually indistinguishable from one.
You can't say that they're the same if they're completely opposite.
I mean, that's just terminology though. Like in observation, this makes no difference whether you call it a force or a push or whatever.
Gosh, damn it,
It
Lou!
all
He's not even
Force
telling you what gravity is. He's
a
not.
force is the cause of an
No,
effect. Yeah. Go
he's
ahead,
not
Will.
even telling you what gravity is. He's not even telling you what it is.
No, he's backing off. I'm slowly backing him off. He's backing off more and more with every single thing that we talk about.
No, you just brought up a caveat, which I'm like mitigating.
Look, no, it's not a caveat. Look, the thing that I was just talking about is that, Newton with it calling it a cause. He's saying it's the cause of the effect is Newton. Einstein is saying it's the effect of the cause.
Sure. I mean,
The
gravity is just a
cause
label.
being bending and warping of space-time, according to Einstein.
Oh, there it is. Gravity's just a label now. Label, so it's a description?
Well, there's things associated with gravity, like the equations of gravity and stuff like that, which can predict things.
So equation, it's just math. It's purely math. It's not real.
In the same sense, an electrical field is purely math. Like
We're not gonna do this again. You're not gonna make a false analogy or false equivalence between electromagnetism or magnetism and gravity. They are not in the same category.
Do you understand that the math is only? Do you understand that the math is only useful if it can be demonstrated in real life and become
Right, and
useful?
it has with gravity. It has.
Okay, show me the equation for gravity that describes this actual physical thing. Go ahead. I'll give you all the time that you need because I know Jekyll somewhere in the background, hoping that I'll give you all the time that you need. But you're not going to make up some bullshit. You're going to get me the equation that describes gravity, and then we're going to go out and we're going to look at it.
Okay, so I'll use Newton's, right? It works for everything within our solar system, describing motion and stuff. So force.
What solar system?
Between two.
What solar system? What solar system? What solar system?
The one that we're in. Okay, so force. Force equals.
I'm not going to beg the question with you.
We want
I'm not going to beg the question with you.
We want a small scale demonstration, not something that's on an astrological scale. We want something that we can demonstrate in a lab, like
Perfect. Okay, so the force.
The equation. The equation right now.
I'm
the
giving
equation.
you the equation.
Get it.
Okay, so F.
Where is it? Show. Post it.
Can you stop badgering me? So force.
Just post it. There's a side chat. Put it in there.
Oh, you want me to post it? Okay. G.
Yeah, post the equation, and then we'll go through it.
So I have a question about you guys always say the bending of warping of space time is gravity, but you have to explain that mass.
No, we don't say that.
No, we
don't say that. That's not a claim. What are you talking about?
That's what you guys say.
Okay, well but you guys got it, but you keep leaving out the part where it says mass. You have to say the whole sentence. You keep leaving out that mass is what warps time.
It's not a claim to.
According to Einstein, gravity is an effect of the bending and warping of space-time due to the unequal distribution of matter. That's
right.
That's like literally what he said.
Okay. And what is matter? What is matter made of?
Stuff.
What is stuff?
Dirt.
Things.
Like what kind of
what are those? Dirt. A pile of dirt. Totally, Terrence told you already.
So mass? Are you talking about mass?
It doesn't matter.
Hold on a second. Talon, this is your claim. Could you tell us what it is?
Yeah, it's mass. Mass is matter.
So, define mass, please. Mass is matter? Well, they're two different words. So matter is matter and mass is what?
Mass is the
Mass
concept of
doesn't
what matter
matter.
is.
Yeah, like if you had a gram of something or a kilogram of something.
The gram
those
is
are
a unit.
measurements
Of
of
So
mass.
that's weight. That sounds like
gram-
weight.
no,
Is
that-
weight
no,
the
that's
same
right.
as
No,
mass?
Weight is the amount of gravity that mass has on Earth, and so weight is different depending.
Oh, it's the amount of gravity.
Mass you're on.
Okay, so does an anvil weigh the same in the bottom of a pool as it does in the air?
No, it doesn't.
The weight? No. But
Oh, so that wouldn't make any sense then, because it would be the consistent all the way around, right?
Well, right. So an anvil has mass no matter where it is. It could be on the moon. It could
How
be in
much mass?
space. It'll have a
How
certain
much
amount of
mass?
mass. An anvil?
How much mass? Yeah.
Anvils have lots of mass. They're very dense metal.
Does it have the same amount of mass in the air as it does in the water?
So that no, that's
Yes.
because that's on a planet. That would be on a planet. So that would be a
Density and
weight. That would be a
volume.
What's a
gravitational-
planet?
And mass.
What's a
'cause
planet?
That's the gravity. No, because that's the warping and bending of space time.
Density
And the
is
anvil is in
proportional
weight is the bending and warping of
to
space time. That's what weight.
the amount of mass you have in a particular object.
All right. I'm going to mute you, Talon, because I was talking to Terrence, and now you're just like muddying the waters. Terrence, let's walk through this equation that I asked you to get.
Okay. The chat has moved quite a bit. Can you still see it?
Oh, I see it. So force equals big G. Show me where big G is. This is a description of something in reality, so where is it?
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't ask you to show. No, it doesn't work like that. That's like asking.
You said that this equation describes the thing in reality that we are going to, test. So this is the equation. You've got big G in there. Excuse me. You've got big G in there. I want you to show me big G in reality. So if we can see if the description matches the thing that you put.
Like asking me to give you what K is and the ideal gas laws. Like it's a constant. What do you mean show you a constant? I think you're.
There is pressure. So what big G represents what? What does big G represent?
So I can tell you what it represents, but I can't show you it. That's phrasing. My God. Okay.
So what is it? So where is it?
What do you mean?
What is big G? What is it?
K?
What is big G?
Where is K? I'll answer where is big G.
No, we're talking about the equation that you posted. I'm not making any claims about K right now. So then you're telling me that the thing that you put is nonsense.